Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural All49ers Women's Roundtable. I'm joined by Miriah 49er FaithfulLee, Sybilla, and Crystal Peachy. Thank you so much for joining me. A couple of weeks ago, I put out just an impassioned plea during a live stream for women who wanted to come on the show to reach out, and Miriah did so within 15 minutes and set up most of this. Sybilla also reached out on her own. Crystal, thank you for being so up for this. And before we get started, how about we go around and one by one, you guys introduce yourselves, say what media you do now, and how you became a 49ers fan. Crystal, you could go first.
Okay. All right. No problem. First of all, thank you for having me on your show.
Of course.
I am very happy to be here. Everyone knows me. I'm Crystal Peachy B on Twitter. I am co-host of Nitty Gritty Niners, which is part of the Wayne Breezy network that he currently has, where there's a lot of various shows on there. I am manager of that, and we have shows for NBA, NFL, games, movies, music, you name it, it's on there. We do it all. But my main job that I have is co-host of Nitty Gritty Niners, like my shirt right here, which we have those, which comes on Mondays at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So you guys should check it out if you haven't already. It comes on live at Twitch TV at Wayne Breezy, and that's all that you need to access that live. Replays are on YouTube the day after that on the Wayne Breezy channel on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to that or anything like that, please check us out. But Nitty Gritty Niners is a 49ers show that is dedicated to just the 49ers.
Where do you live, and how did you become a 49ers fan, if you don't mind me asking?
I live in Tennessee.
Okay. And
how I became a 49ers fan was when I was 8 years old. I'm 48, so 40 years ago, I became a 49ers fan. My family is very heavily into sports, especially football. Mm-hmm. And I was just had a bunch of older relatives that taught me the game of football at a very young age. And I saw the 49ers back in 80. I can't remember who they were playing. I want to say it was Atlanta, because back then we rarely got 49er games. And I just fell in love with Joe Montana like you would not believe. I really did. Watched him on the screen. Then 2 years later, I actually moved to the Bay Area for a little while, being a military brat. And also I moved there. So, yeah, I did.
So you've seen Joe Montana play. I missed it. So I got to defer to your expertise. Thank you. Okay, Sybilla, why don't you go next? Tell us what we need to know.
All right, so my name is Sybilla. I am originally from Morocco. Soy una mujer desde Marruecos for my Latina fans out there. And I am a model for Hot Topic, and by extension, Funimation, Disney, Star Wars, Harry Potter. So I do a lot of goth and alt modeling. And I do a lot in women's empowerment as well. So I do some podcasts with I Want the Radio from time to time. And I'm just a fan, and I'm happy to be here. I've been a fan since I was 3 years old. I have a sock to prove it. Awesome. And I'm loving the show, so I have to give really quick a shout out to Shardol.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, he's an icon.
You inspired me. So yeah, I've been a fan since I was 3 years old. I love Bay Area sports. I love the Oakland Athletics. So I'm kind of between the two. Not a Giants, not a Raiders fan. We don't talk about the Raiders anymore. But definitely the Athletics, the Warriors, and the Niners. That's my jam.
How did someone from Morocco become a Bay Area sports fan?
So my father and I, we were both in the U.S. Navy. And he was actually stationed on the Atlantic coast, like me. But he's originally grew up in Walnut Creek, if you know where that is.
Of course I do.
Right. And I actually grew up in Vallejo for 5 years.
Wow. There you go.
So
that explains
it's kind of in the blood. And my mother, who had never even seen a pigskin before, she loves the 49ers. Garrison Hurst is her favorite player.
Oh, that's random, but he's great. That's cool.
Right. Yeah.
That's very specific. I like that.
It is, right? Yeah.
I love that. Okay, Miriah, your turn. You're up.
Yeah, so I live in Vegas. My family, they moved here from the Philadelphia area, so they're all Eagles fans. Being born in Vegas, we didn't have a football team at the time. So family friends of mine that actually taught me the game of football when I was in around sixth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, they were 49ers fans. So they bought me my first 49ers shirts, and it just stuck with me. I've been a 49ers fan ever since. And then I'm in the middle of starting up 49 FaithfulLee podcast.
Okay.
It should be coming out in the next month or so, but right now I'm just like doing guest appearances, mostly on Nitty Gritty, just getting around for the time being, but I will be bringing my own soon. The channel is started and it's on its way.
Well, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. You're the one here that I know the most because you're always in the chat section. So I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you putting this together. And let's get into it. Let's talk sports. The first question I have for you guys is this. Should the 49ers start Trey Lance week 1, no matter what? No matter what, should Trey Lance be the starter week 1? Miriah, why don't you start us off this time? And we'll go around.
I'm going to say yes. The biggest thing, against Trey is that he doesn't have the starting time. He's only started this many games, and he's surely not going to learn by sitting on the bench. You can only get experience by playing the game. So, right now we know that that's our future. I don't want to make anybody mad, the Jimmy fans, but we know that Jimmy's not going to be our quarterback in the future. So why even waste the time, that Trey could be using to learn and getting his reps? And we have a really good team around him. It's not like he's walking into a disaster. So I think he could handle it.
Good answer.
So I think whether we should and whether we will are two separate issues. I do like what Miriah said as far as thrusting him into action. I think historically there are some good examples of some superstars that learned as they went. My biggest issue is we have a Super Bowl ready roster right now. And I'm thinking about Peyton Manning. He did not do so well when he first entered the league.
True.
And I'm not saying Trey Lance can't be better than him, but those are some huge shoes to fill. And if Peyton Manning couldn't do it, I just think it's a little bit much for, albeit an intelligent quarterback, an immature quarterback. And when I say that, I mean as far as his play time. So most quarterbacks get a lot more system time in college than he did. And so I'm a little bit concerned. So as long as Jimmy is healthy, I don't think Kyle Shanahan's going to risk it, because can you imagine the backlash he would get if he made that call and it did not work? He's not going to do that. So I think he's going to go with Jimmy G.
That's a really good answer. What do you think? What do you think, Crystal?
I think that both of those ladies had fantastic answers. The only thing that I will add is that I do not feel like that Trey should start week 1, because I feel like the 49ers need to play Garoppolo, because I feel like sometime this year, maybe prior to the trade deadline, I think that it's possible that Jimmy will be traded. And I feel like that these teams need to see what he looks like and to have him to play in some games and everything. Because we know that with the 49ers having a Super Bowl ready team, that Jimmy's going to be successful. Because that's part of the reason why he is successful, is because our team is so great. So because we have all this talent that is surrounding him, I feel like that Garoppolo should get out there and play, show what he's got with the 49ers, put him in the best positions they can, because I'm pretty sure that that we'll probably try to trade him before the deadline.
Yeah, I'm sure they would love to. Those were great answers. Let me try my best to answer this one. It seems like I think I'm with Sybilla that it kind of comes down to whether you think this team is Super Bowl ready. If it's a Super Bowl ready roster, it's a hard sell to turn it over to the 21-year-old rookie. For what Sybilla said, look at Peyton Manning. What's the expectation for Trey Lance be really? If he did great, great. But Peyton Manning didn't. And there's never been a rookie ever who's won a Super Bowl. So if you really think it's a Super Bowl team, give Jimmy a chance. If you don't, though, if you think it's an injury-prone team and they were 6-10 last year, then don't delude yourselves. Don't waste your time. And then I'm with Miriah. Just put Trey Lance in there because you always learn more from doing than from watching. So I guess my follow-up question to you three is this a Super Bowl team or not? You guys can jump in however you want to. No, I mean, less formal.
Yes, I think it is a Super Bowl team. They have we'll leave the training staff out of it, but we have the coaching staff at least. And I think we have the defense is still mostly in place. And I think that's what we have lost. I think we've gained through other draft picks. I think we're a little bit more offensively talented this year, more potent, as long as we're healthy. So yeah, and continuity, that's the big thing here. Expecting a team to be able to ride the same energy it had in 2019, Jimmy G is the way to go. Yeah.
Well, Miriah, let me ask you, because it's 2 against 1 in this sense. So I think you actually have a really good point. I could be swayed to be on your side. I mean, Trey Lance is the future. What are we waiting for here? Is this really a Super Bowl team? If it is a Super Bowl team, would you still be in favor of giving it to Trey Lance? That's a fair question.
I think it's a Super Bowl ready team with or without Jimmy G.
Fair enough. That's a fair answer. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Next question. This one's a little convoluted. Buy or sell Kyle Shanahan's story about Mac Jones. Kyle Shanahan recently went on the Tim Kawakami podcast and said that, it was always going to be Trey Lance. And the reason all these national reporters and local ones, Matt Mayoko, were so convinced it was going to be Mac Jones. He can't fathom how that happened. And he actually was very amused watching everyone get it wrong. And it was kind of like an experiment in human dynamics or something. Do you buy that Kyle Shanahan is like this clever genius of human dynamics, and that this was all a social experiment on Kyle Shanahan's part to make people look silly? What do you think? Peachy, Crystal, you first.
I think the most craziest thing about this whole thing is, no, I do not believe that Kyle is that clever. That is the first thing.
That's fair. Let's just call it what it is.
I absolutely do not believe that Kyle is that clever. Like it was some kind of a major ruse. I don't believe that. There had to be some kind of an indication that Mac Jones was part of the equation. I do not believe for one second that Kyle never had the interest in Mac Jones. And that's kind of what he wants people to believe. And that's absolutely not true. I don't believe that at all. I do believe that it came down to Trey Lance and Justin Fields. But I do believe that Mac Jones was part of the equation earlier. So I think that Kyle, the whatever kind of cleverness that he is trying, I don't believe that Kyle's that clever. Right to that. I don't.
That's fair. That's fair. What do you think, Sybilla?
I love her answer. I love the jab
of
his lack of cleverness. I think you will like that one too. I listened to a lot of Chris Sims, who's supposed to be, pretty close with Kyle. The whole tattoo thing that we all know about. John Lynch, I feel, has been really good at creating in-house subterfuge. Yes. I think they're really good at keeping the lid on things. So I think there's some truth that they didn't mind the misdirection. Whether or not it was intentional, according to Sims, there was actually some in-house dissension where there was a camp for Mac Jones. And I don't know if that was true or not, but I think that Mac Jones was on their radar, at least on their radar. But I just can't see him being the number 1 pick for this team. He's the old mold. He's the Matt Ryan kind of trigger puller, game manager, stand in the pocket, upright passer. He doesn't come with the upside of, say, like a Kaepernick or something like that, or in our case, a Lance. So I think maybe Kyle broke from his own mold and at some point during the draft process progressed. But I think that Kyle, inside, in his heart of hearts, he was holding on for Mac Jones.
I agree. I mean, he definitely made the right choice with Trey Lance. It's just funny how he got there, and it's funny how he's really intent on like clearing, getting the story out there, getting the story straight. Right. I never liked Mac Jones. It's like, okay, Miriah, do you believe that story?
I agree that Mac was a part of things. I'm not going to say that he was that he's the one that Kyle wanted, or that Trey was the guy from day one. We're never going to probably know that. So. But I do think that Kyle went into it, looking at each guy.
Yes.
From all accounts, from everything that we heard, it doesn't seem like Justin was a part of it as much as the other two. But
Yes.
I do think that Mac, was, in discussions.
Yeah, I guess I agree with all of you. I mean, I think Crystal said it so well. He's just not that clever. He's very smart, but I feel like Kyle's a terrible liar. He's a terrible liar. He constantly tells you exactly what he's thinking. Like, hey, Kyle, what do you think of Jimmy Garoppolo? He's good for an inexperienced quarterback. I mean, he's like constantly, it's like he can't even lie about Jimmy. And now all of a sudden he set up this elaborate ruse to make Adam Schefter, Mike Silver, Matt Mayoko all looks foolish. Really, why? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of funny. I guess I set up this question because I wanted to talk about the nature of Kyle Shanahan. And you got right to it. I just don't think he's got it in him. Now, Robert Saleh definitely could do something like that. He's thinking 8 moves ahead and he's very strategic. John Lynch too. But he's wearing his emotions on his sleeve. You can see what he's thinking on his face. Yeah. So good try, Kyle. But we don't buy it this time. Anyway, moving on. Jimmy Garoppolo. Is Jimmy Garoppolo a good quarterback? Miriah.
I'm going to say yes, he's a good quarterback. But much more than that, I can't say. He's been serviceable when he's healthy, but is he somebody that's great, that's going to take us to the next level? I don't think so. I don't think he's a star quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he is a good quarterback.
So I have to agree with her. Jimmy G he's a good quarterback. He's not great. I think we have seen his limitations, and yet I don't think we've seen all of them. I don't think we've seen his ceiling because of his health. And the best ability is availability, as Shannon Sharp would say, and a lot of people would say. And so I think that gets factored into my assessment of his skills. Growing up in Seattle, he reminds me of watching Kitna, if you remember that guy.
Ooh,
absolutely.
You could expand on that.
Okay, so you could see the toolkit was there, but not the decision making, and you're always waiting for more.
Yep.
And I mean, the Seahawks had to get good on me, and I had to be a 49ers fan when they did. But there was a time where I could say Kitna is the best you can do. But now they have Wilson. That's a different story. But no.
Kitna was decent in his era.
Well, Jimmy G was decent for 1 year.
That's a good point.
That's his era.
I like the comparison. I didn't expect anyone to bring up John Kitna today. Wow.
Smart guy though.
Okay.
Kristen. Yeah. The only thing that I will add to what these ladies said, because they did such a great job at doing that, is one of Jimmy's limitations that irks me is, like, I guess, processing a defense.
Yeah.
I really,
yeah.
That is, it's actually not a little thing. It's actually a big thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that his inability to, correctly process a defense at this point in his career is kind of bothers me a little bit. I do think that he is a good quarterback, but I also feel like that in order for Jimmy to be like completely successful, like he has to have so much around him. There's so many quarterbacks in the league that are very successful, can process the defense, to do all that things that do not have near as much talent as Jimmy is surrounded by. That's the only caveat that I'll put in there for that.
That's a great answer. I hadn't thought about the processing thing, but it seems to me like, look, if you can't move and Jimmy can't move, and you're trying to be like Drew Brees or Tom Brady, well, then you have to be the fastest processor in the league. You have to be the guy who knows where the open man is in 2 seconds every play. That's Ben Roethlisberger. That's Phillip Rivers. That's Brady Brees. It's not Jimmy. But Jimmy lacks experience. He's only started, 35 games? But that's because he's always hurt. Right. So is he good? I can't give him the good word. I think he can be good on this team when he's healthy, but that's a lot of qualifications. I'm going to use the word that Miriah used it originally, serviceable. I can't give him more than serviceable until he shows a little consistency, a little improvement, a little durability. I feel like he's serviceable plus.
If I may add to this real quick.
Sure.
He's good on this team,
Yes.
because of the scheme and the talent.
Yes.
Okay, Kyle Shanahan is really good at juicing the lemon.
Yes.
Is he going to another team?
I like that.
I would not want to see him with a lesser O-line. I
Oh
would
my
not
God.
want to see him without Kittle, the safety nets, and without Debo in his play action and things like that. So that's the thing. He's good. He is good on this team, but he may not be a good quarterback. So serviceable, I think she's right.
Yeah, like imagine if he were on the Lions this year instead
Oh my
of
goodness.
Jared Goff. Like Jared Goff's in a tough spot this year. What's Jared Goff going to do? What would Jimmy do if in that spot?
Right.
What can anyone do in
Jared
that spot?
Goff's going to lose the season opener.
Don
sure
Bird is
is.
somewhere in
You
the
got
comment
that right,
section.
girl.
That was aimed at him. That was
He's gonna
aimed at
get
him.
You got that right, girl.
That's for you, Don. All right, next question. These are all real straightforward but not simple questions. Is Jed York a good owner? Whoever wants this one first can take it because it's not an easy question.
I'll take that.
Go for it.
Jed York is a good owner. And I know that's controversial because of some of the decisions he made early, like Kelly Famsula. But what I've seen from him, and having been in the Navy, I've seen plenty of O1s. I've seen plenty of E6s, like chiefs, petty officers passing for their Chief E7 exam. I've seen them make mistakes early. But what I'm looking for is the ability to admit it, buck up and grow. And I do think that Jed York is capable of that. And when I'm looking for leadership, I'm looking towards the future. And I'm not that unhappy with the Shanahan and Lynch marriage. I love John Lynch. He was my favorite football player growing up besides Shannon Sharp. And I love his mind, his football acumen. So I think Jed York deserves props for that. I feel like Jed York this year became an owner for the first time. And the reason I say that is I really feel that Trey Lance was fueled by him. I think he pushed the idea that we have to have a Mahomes-style quarterback because we all know why. Better than any team in football, we know why.
Yeah.
So I really feel that was Jed York. And I think that maybe he put Kyle Shanahan in a more realistic mindset this year. That basically, okay, you're the guy, but I need results. I strongly feel that Jed York is deciding this is my year to gauge Kyle Shanahan. And that's what I see, at least the way he talks. And how many owners make videos where they will actually address an apology to the fan base? That if you remember the Faithful production team or whatever, a couple of years ago, he said, I'm going to get it right. That's my vow to you. Yeah. I think Shanahan and Lynch, I think last year is the excuse year. I won't hold that against anyone with the injuries except the training staff. But regardless, I think Jed York is a good owner. And I think more importantly, the matriarch of the York family is in his ear at all times. Basically, the wisdom that this franchise has, the years that it has, the pride that it has. I think Walsh's influence is still there. And I think that York is learning as he goes. And I think over the next 5 years, we'll be looking back on this like, yeah, he's a great owner.
That was a fabulous answer.
It was a great answer.
Really good answer.
Very good. I just want to add to it. I definitely would not want to follow that. That was amazing, Sybilla. That was wonderful.
Yep.
No, you're really good at adding so far. I love get at it. I know you can add.
Wow.
No, the only thing that I just want to add to it is I also feel like that it helps with Jed because he has the backing of his family and he has relied on his family a whole lot more than I believe that he did earlier. And I know that the York family makes a lot of decisions. And I feel like that's made him a better owner because the York family has all came together. So they make these cohesive decisions and they come together and do that. The next thing that I wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Sybilla said was, I do feel like that Jed has realized his mistakes and the fact that he can own up to them, because not every NFL owner would be that humble to be able to do that, to say that they were wrong or to say that they were sorry and that they got it wrong or anything like that. So I have a lot of respect for Jed because regardless of how, things have been botched in the past, I do feel like that even like the present and the future is just going to be fantastic. And he is growing and he is learning things and having his family more involved. I think it's also causing him to make better decisions.
Love it.
Great answer.
Yep, and that's exactly what I had too. Is that I would say he's He's a good owner. He's young and he's growing, but he has showed that he is learning. And I think, that's one of the main things that we can ask from him is to realize his mistakes, learn from it, and do better. And he's doing that. But I also think that the next couple years, how he handles having a new young quarterback, a rookie quarterback, a coach that has a losing record, if what happens this year, how he ends up, what he does after that, I think it's going to show a lot about who he is.
Great answer. I think you guys did a very good job of laying out how he's improved. I mean, I think it's fair to say that when he started out, he wasn't a good owner. I mean, he went through how many coaches? I mean, he's gone through a lot of coaches, and usually the teams that have good owners are they're characterized by stability, right? Mm-hmm. The Steelers, the Patriots, things like that. So Jed got that wrong, but he was young, and look, he's set up this marriage between Shanahan and Lynch that's supposed to last. He's already given them extensions. He wants to have the stability. He's got the right idea. I think at first he was sort of saying yes to everything Kyle Shanahan did, maybe to a fault, maybe because he was trying to get things right and not get in the way like he may have done with Jim Harbaugh. But as Sybilla so astutely pointed out, some changed this offseason. Something changed this offseason. And it seems, I'm guessing, I think Sybilla's right, that Jed York stood up to Kyle and said, Kyle, I love you. I've given you an extension. I trust you. I'm not going to let you take Mac Jones. I'm not going to let you do. Well, I think that's what happened. I think Jed put his foot down, and if he did, God love him, because John Lynch said that the decision was made the Monday before the draft. They had a press conference that day. I saw Kyle Shanahan that day. He was not in a good mood, while John Lynch was in the best mood. And I just have a life-size picture of Jed York standing up and becoming the owner that he's going to be and saying, Kyle, I'm putting my foot down here, and it's for the organization, and he was right. So yeah, that's a big step for Jed if he did it. Good call, Sybilla.
I would also like to add something and also thank Jed York for the way that he handled last season with the COVID protocols and all of that. That to me also showed a lot of growth. The way that he I mean, it was rough. There was a lot of things that he had to deal with that were out of the normal last year. So,
absolutely, he really came through. He moved the whole team to Arizona.
Absolutely,
yeah, he absolutely,
absolutely.
Yep, yep. Every donates $20. Thank you so much, Ev. You're the greatest. And then there was one more from Randy. Great perspectives, refreshing. More of this. Yeah, 100% agree. We got one more topic. Thank you, Randy. All right, last topic. And this one's kind of personal. Kyle Shanahan's clearly a huge fan of the show. In fact, I'm guessing he's watching right now. So I think we should give him some advice in the spirit of the fact that we like Kyle Shanahan. We want him to do a good job, and we want to help. So if Kyle's watching right now, we think he probably is, what would you say directly to him? What one piece of advice would you give him?
Okay. I'll start. I'm going to say, don't let your ego ruin your career. It's okay to admit when you're wrong, and you need to admit when you're wrong in order to grow, in order to make things right. And maybe that's something that you can learn from Jed.
That was a good answer. Learn from Jed. I wasn't expecting that. Nice. Who's next?
Very, very, very nice. I would like to say you have an offensive coordinator. Utilize your offensive coordinator. You are the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. You do not just coach the offense. You have an offensive coordinator to do that. So try to spend more time being a head coach of the whole entire football team, and let your coordinators on offense do their job along with their coaches and everything else.
Delegate. I totally agree. Trust him. You hired him. You know him. Trust him. Delegate. Good call. Yeah. All right, Sybilla, what do you say?
So a couple of things, and I think Kyle Shanahan can learn from another Bay Area legend, and that's Barry Bonds. Going back to baseball, he was a really quiet guy who never engaged with the media.
True.
So when he finally needed to, they eviscerated him. They destroyed him. And Kyle Shanahan is not really good at connecting with media. And so here's the thing. If you don't tell people what to say, they will say whatever they want.
True.
And I think if he gave you a little bit more, you, Grant, other writers, and he just enjoyed it. Was a little bit more, had less of an edge with his delivery. I think that it would be a give and take type of thing. His comments, I'm going to let you write whatever you want. That's not helpful.
Right.
So you know what I'm talking about. So that's the first thing. The media is his biggest ally. You guys are not there to, us fans, we're not there to roast him. We're there to ask. And if he gives us information and we see that there's progress, that there's a plan, that's fine.
Yep.
The second thing is not really so much in the football side of things, but just the leadership side of things. One of the things I don't particularly like in his style, I know he's a very strong-minded individual. With all of the injuries happening lately, his kind of public indifference that he shows sometimes is not a strength. That's a definite weakness because his guys, we know Jimmy Ward watches the show. We know George Kittle watches the show. I'm sure, what else do the injured guys have to do right now? Watch tape, recover, watch the show. And so it's kind of his, and there are things they're listening, and anytime the head man talks, they're going to know what got said. And I just feel like he really needs to acknowledge mistakes, lay out a public plan, because he's not just talking to us, he's talking to his players. He's setting an example to his players, and I think they deserve a little bit more paternity from him. And that's kind of what I would like to see. The greatest leaders will acknowledge they have mistakes, and as followers love to see that. Not because they want to ridicule them, but because they want to know, hey, it happened. I know they're committed to change. And right now, if I was an athlete on that team, like Nick Bosa, I'd be in Florida.
Oof, that was a great answer. I totally agree. I mean, he's what I was going to say is don't be so defensive for the same reasons you laid out. And what you said is the media isn't, it's a bad look for the media. It's a bad look for your own players. I would take it a step further. I mean, it alienates your own fans. Niner fans want to like Kyle. Niner fans do like Kyle. And when you shut down with the media, you're shutting down with the fans. And he's also taking it a step further and be like, talk directly to fans. Like, please leave me alone at Safeway. Please leave me alone at soccer games. It's like, no. What you should be saying, Kyle, is, come on, let's talk. I value your input. I appreciate your passion. I'm listening. I hear your concern, right? Why would you want to alienate the fans? They're coming up to you at Safeway because they like you, Kyle. If they didn't like you, they just take a picture, post it on Twitter with some snarky caption like, look at him, man. He got the cheap bologna or something. You know what I mean? Like, I think you should be touched that fans want to help and that media want to help. And just don't be so defensive. I think it's pretty much what you guys said.
If I may add to that as well, as a model, I go through classes where they teach us about being a point of contact representing the networks and the franchises that we model. Kyle Shanahan is way above what I'm doing. And he's kind of the face of the franchise. And it comes with the territory. If you don't want to be a leader, if you don't want to be a head coach, that means that you don't want to talk to your fans. I get that. But if you're going to be, guess what? You're a public figure. And if I dare say, you don't belong to yourself anymore. You belong to the city. You belong to the Bay. And, you know, we do like you, Kyle. I really do believe in this guy. There are flaws he has, but I would be devastated thinking who we would try to replace him with.
True. And, you know, you said, like, who's good at these things that you're describing? Robert Saleh, Sean McVay. How about Sean McVay? Like,
Right.
Kyle's probably smarter than Sean McVay. Sean
McVay
great at
is
all this
hilarious.
stuff.
Yeah.
When he lost the Super Bowl, all he said afterward was, it was my fault here. I messed up here. Don't blame Jared. It was all on me. When Kyle lost the Super Bowl, he couldn't do it. You know, he was just like, the throws were there. The plays were up. You know, it's like, well, that's not really helpful, right? I mean, I know you're right, but that's not leadership, to Sybilla's point.
Yeah, leadership, it's always your fault.
Always,
And that's
even if it's
actually-
not.
You're protecting your guys. You're taking the blows. That's the beauty of being a leader is that you want to say, hey, I'm going to go up there, like when I was in the Navy. I'm going to go into the commanding officer's office. You screwed up, but I'm not going to give him your name, and I'm going to say it's on me, and I'm going to take the hit. And Kyle Shanahan, I feel he will grow, but that's the number one thing I want to see change.
I agree. Mic drop. Kyle, that was a really good suggestion. I hope you're listening. That was a really good, generous suggestion from people that are on your side. And that was a hell of a roundtable. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Grant, for having us. I
Absolutely.
really appreciate
Yeah.
That
everything
was a
you're
lot
doing.
of fun. We got to do this
Ladies,
again.
Grant, it was nice to meet you, and thank you so much. And for the fans that were in the chat, you guys were awesome too.
This was great.
Yeah.
I hope
Thank
we can
you,
do this again sometime.
everybody, for
Thank you
watching.
so much, everyone, and thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Take care. See you soon.